Today we are going to be discussing the inventory database. This will be a very basic overview of one of our most fundamental aspects of the Keystroke software, inventory. It is really the core of the system. It's the inventory database maintains all your information for all items, for all sales, and all purchases. This should be something that's very familiar to most of you, and maybe we'll discuss a few points that maybe are easily overlooked. Again, the inventory. I'm not going to base this too much off of any bullet points or anything like that. We're just going to do a very general overview, but a few things on the inventory database is that again, it's all of your item information for all sales and purchases, for items used for sales and purchases. The inventory database, like other Keystroke databases, are indexed. Keystroke uses several indexes for the inventory database, such as the stock number, the product code, the description, class, manufacturer, and the alternate ID number. All details are kept on that record, and it's used for reporting purposes, organization purposes, and so forth. The inventory database screens are dealer customizable. If many of your users you're going to find are going to have specific requests for rearranging their databases, perhaps even relabeling some data fields. I'm going to jump right over to our inventory, to the database screen. So we're going to jump over to into Keystroke and just go right to an inventory item. And of course, the first screen that is displayed is our inventory main screen. Where we'll see our primary information. We'll see all of our pricing, all of the costs, general information such as the department, the category, and so forth. We can see if there's a price code, a price table assigned, or a price code assigned that could be affected by unique formulas in our price tables. We'll see commission code. So again, on our inventory main screen, we see our, all of what we'd consider the primary data. We've designed this screen so that the most desirable data is going to be on the inventory main screen. We see all of our quantities are listed. The quantity on hand are allocated in layaway and so forth. Again, and Keystroke does include multiple screens for purposes of organizing data in other areas. If the database screens are toggled using the F9 key, which is fairly consistent throughout the program. F9 is toggle in most forms, such as resorting lists, changing entry fields on transactions, and again, toggling through database screens. So our second inventory screen is our order data screen, where we maintain data related to the purchasing of your inventory items. Again, this is something that is surely not unfamiliar to any of you, but we'll see here we have our costs. We'll see things like minimum quantity, the quantity that we want to specify as our desired minimum quantity for a given inventory item. Keystroke uses the minimum quantity to determine if an item should be included in functions like the reorder report or the auto order function in the purchase manager. So minimum quantity is one of the more fundamental aspects of the purchasing side of Keystroke. It's going to determine, again, when Keystroke determines or decides that an item needs to be reordered, when you need to purchase an item. We've recently added a maximum quantity field. This is a new feature in Keystroke. only recently added in version 7.1. The maximum quantity is exactly that. This is going to specify a maximum that Keystroke will maintain on hand. When you purchase an item, Keystroke will not will warn you that you are at the maximum quantity, that you've reached your desired maximum. Your order interval. This is also a new feature in our inventory database. This specifies how frequently you want to purchase an inventory item. If you set that to, let's say, it is measured in number of days, it is a date field or a day field where Keystroke will identify if an item has been purchased within that interval, and you will get a warning that the item has already been purchased within that interval. We have our order quantity. Order quantity, again, nothing too unfamiliar there. This is your desired quantity to be ordered when an item is purchased. You're going to see here that I show a negative value. This is something that, again, is often a feature of Keystroke that is overlooked. You see a negative order quantity. Well, that doesn't mean that you are going to order a negative amount of an item or a negative quantity of an item. Keystroke handles this field in a somewhat special manner. Keystroke will treat a negative order quantity as a quantity to order up to. In this case, we see a quantity of -4. The -4 tells Keystroke that you want to purchase enough to bring your quantity on hand to 4. Okay, our current quantity on hand is 19. We're well within the desired amount here. We have a minimum quantity of 4. That means we always want to keep 4 on hand. Order quantity, as I said, is 4. If we made this, let's say, 20, if we made our order quantity 20, when we next purchase this item, Keystroke will purchase enough to bring the quantity on hand to 20. In this case, it would, with an existing quantity on hand of 19, an order quantity of -20 is going to cause Keystroke to order 1. So again, that's somewhat of a special function of the order quantity field, that we can use a negative number to bring the quantity on hand up to the desired number. We also see what we refer to as the multiplier. Okay, next to our order quantity. In this case, this would not be a very good example of the use of a multiplier, saying that we're ordering 1. Let me pull up an item here that is going to be a good example of our multiplier function. Here I have a Pepsi single 12-ounce item. Okay, this item, we see it has a multiplier of 6. Now we're using that multiplier of 6 because this item, again, it's something of a special item. It is this is what we refer to as a child item. This item has a parent assigned to it. The parent is going to be on the inventory more data screen. So F9 again takes us to inventory more data. We see on this screen, we see our multiplier of 6 per parent. And here we have a parent item specified of the Pepsi 6-pack. The parent instructs Keystroke that this item, the Pepsi single, replenishes its quantity on hand from its parent. It uses this multiplier to determine what quantity to replenish from the parent. For each parent of the Pepsi 6-pack, Keystroke knows to break down 6 single items. So this is again another real very widely used aspect of the keystroke inventory database. Many users are going to have inventory items where they will want an inventory item to replenish its stock from another. The multiplier can also be used similarly for items that are purchased in larger quantities, in bulk quantities, but only sold in individual units. For example, an item that does not have a parent assigned, has no parent assigned, but does have a multiplier assigned, when you purchase a quantity of one, you purchase a quantity of one, but if the multiplier will determine the increase to your quantity on hand. So a multiplier, again, it can be used when you are purchasing items in a larger unit and selling them only in smaller units. Likewise, a multiplier is going to be used for parent and child, where an inventory item is replenishing its stock from another inventory item, such as the single cans of Pepsi from 6-packs, as our example in our sample data. Going right along in the inventory database, again, we're now in the inventory more data screen. We're up to our third screen now. We're going to see lots of fields are carried over between screens. We of course see that description and manufacturer and product codes. So far, these fields have been on every screen. The stock number is going to be displayed on all of our default screens, but of course we get more information as we go along. We see toggle options that give us functions such as not discountable, where the price of an item cannot be changed on a transaction if the security level to do so is not met. There may be some items that you'd like to include on a transaction, but don't necessarily need that item to be printed on a form. These could be things like service items or other items that are added to the transaction based on the purchase of other items, such as tag-along items, for that matter, items that are added through scripting and so forth. Perhaps we don't necessarily need certain items to be printed. We have the ability to do that. A parameter to prevent items from being cleared on a sale. Here we see the no fractional quantity as well. This is a somewhat recent addition to inventory. This can prevent users from inadvertently selling a fractional quantity. This is common in cases where clerks are becoming very harried and inadvertently tab into the quantity field, and while they're expecting to be entering a price of, let's say, $1.50, they're accidentally entering 1.5 into quantity. Well, this is going to prevent fractional quantities for an inventory item. We have parameters to use scales on inventory items here. We can specify the weight on our more data. You're also going to see our security levels on the more data screen. These are also reasonably recent additions to the keystroke inventory database. Security levels that can be defined on individual inventory records, to view the record, to sell the record, or to purchase it. By default, all of these levels are left null, as in blank. They do not have a security level defined, but this can be defined by your user or by you as to items to restrict clerks from either viewing, selling, or purchasing specific items. So we're going to move along to our custom data screen, and custom is just that. These are user-defined fields that we have added to the inventory database. This is added as of version 7 of Keystroke. And as I said, they are user-defined data fields, which means exactly that. They can be used for whatever purposes a customer intends. We've labeled these fields as simply info number 1 and 2, long info 1 and 2, number 1 and 2, and these are, again, simply numbers that are completely defined by the user. We have codes 1 and 2. These are just smaller data fields. Dates that can be assigned to the customer or to the user-defined fields. Again, these are completely up to the user as to what they'd like to do with these. It's just adding what we'd consider extra space for additional information. We have found that many users, when they've got a field or a use for a data field like this in mind, that we otherwise don't, that otherwise wouldn't be included in the inventory database. Many users have found that they'd like to rename these fields. You can absolutely do that using our dealer-only utility for database screen editor, or the database screens editor, which is a dealer-only utility. You can name these fields anything you'd like. Long info 1 can be renamed with any label you would like. As far as Keystroke is concerned, it will, however, always be identified as the long info 1 field. You can name it whatever you like. You can change that tag from long info 1 to anything, any value you'd like. But in terms of reporting, in terms of filtering in the Keystroke program, Keystroke will always recognize the data field itself as long info 1. So that's an important consideration. When you get into things like database screen editing, you can rename product code. For argument's sake, you could rename product code to SKU if you'd like. As far as Keystroke is concerned, regardless of what you name that field, Keystroke will always consider it the product code field. So that's a somewhat important detail on the database screens editing side of things. You can rename fields to whatever you like. Keystroke is always going to consider them in its own terms. So, you know, that takes us through our inventory database screens. Again, we have our main data screen, our main screen, where we're going to have our more primary data here, and it's going to include our pricing. You know, I did just pass right by our quantity price breaks. This is, again, a fairly recent feature for Keystroke. It was introduced with version 7 of Keystroke, where we can define quantity price breaks right on an inventory item that is specific just to that item, where we can set a quantity for an item and set a single price for it. We have a base price of this Pepsi single for of 50 cents. We could set a quantity price break of buy 3 for $1.25. So it's something of a discount there. We can set a second price break where we can, instead of 3 for a set price, we set perhaps 5 for a set price. So this is something that's also more and more widely used every day. Users are continuing to create their own price breaks for individual inventory items. This same sort of pricing can be done using the price code field that I mentioned earlier. We can, where the price code field, and another identifier on your inventory record, is another field that's treated, that allows us to treat inventory items differently, allows to set formulas and so forth. Again, I don't want to focus too much on individual aspects. I really just want to present more of a whole picture of the of the inventory database. you're going to see, I have not mentioned to this point, the buttons along the bottom of our inventory database screen. Most of these, again, should be familiar to you. We'll start with our vendor list. You've seen on the inventory order data screen, we do maintain vendor information. This is not a great example of an item with vendor information. I haven't purchased it necessarily from any vendors. Let's go back to an item I have purchased from a vendor. The vendor information will tell us vendors that we purchased an item from, any unique part numbers from a vendor, the last purchase date, and the cost an item had been purchased at from that vendor. Again, all database screens, all of the inventory database screens include the vendor list button. This presents the same vendor information from any database inventory screen. Serial numbers should be rather self-explanatory here. That is your list of serial numbers. As you see on the inventory main screen, we have the option to mark an item as serialized. I'll show you an example of one of our serialized items here. Let's go to so here we have a serialized item, and of course the item has serial numbers. When an item is serialized, this will force the user to supply serial numbers when either purchasing or selling a serialized item. When you purchase a quantity, Keystroke will prompt you to enter that number of serial numbers for the item. When you sell a quantity of a serialized item, Keystroke prompts to select that number of serial numbers for the item. Again, very self-explanatory there. Alt codes we have refers to alternate codes. This is another means of entering an item for a sales or purchase transaction. As I'd mentioned earlier, the inventory database uses 6 indexed fields: product code, manufacturer, description, stock number, alternate ID number, and class. The alternate code could be something like a manufacturer's part number or a vendor's part number, some other means that you can use to identify an item. This allows you to enter a value entered as an alternate code for an inventory item allows you to enter that value on a sales or purchase transaction, and if Keystroke does not find a match for that value in the indexed fields, Keystroke will search among alternate codes and select the item that has a matching alternate code. One of the more substantial changes in the inventory database in version 7 was the integration of scripting directly into the inventory database. Prior to version 7 of Keystroke, inventory scripts were managed in their own module, in a completely separate module, separate from the inventory, separate from anywhere else in the program. Scripts, as of version 7, are now integrated directly into the inventory database. So you can you can edit an inventory item, and from anywhere that you are editing that inventory item, be it in the sales manager or the purchase manager, you pull up the inventory record, and you can manipulate and manage scripts for that item from directly within the inventory record itself. And here we see in my example here, I selected scripts, and we see the number, the stock number of the item, the item's description, its product code, its class, its manufacturer, and we see the scripts associated with this item. This item does happen to have a script assigned. It is an add item from list. This is a printer inventory item, so we have attached a script in this example that prompts the clerk to add a printer cable when this printer is sold. So again, scripts integrated directly into our database rather than having to manage that through a separate module. We have Matrix available here, and Matrix is another fairly advanced feature of Keystroke. In fact, it is a feature that is included only in the Advanced POS license. The matrixing, as many of you know, is of course to allow you to use the same inventory item and assign multiple varieties of that item. I'll go right back to one of our examples of a matrixed item, a shirt. Apparel is a great example for use of matrix. You have a shirt. Well, that shirt's usually going to be available in different colors, different sizes, and so on, rather than maintaining individual inventory records for each variation that you have of an item. Instead, you can assign a matrix. In this case, I'll pull up the matrix for this item. We see that this item is available in several colors and several different sizes. We see in our matrix, we see the quantities available in each variety. So again, this is one of the more one of the features included in the Advanced POS license, very widely used in apparel or in any sort of inventory where you would have multiple varieties of the same type of item available. So again, I really just wanted to briefly go over some of the more core aspects of the inventory database. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anybody has regarding anything we discussed today. Of course, you're all welcome to call us anytime Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and we'll be glad to discuss any other aspects of the inventory database in greater detail. Did anyone have any questions for me on what we've discussed today? Okay, I take it then that everyone's clear on everything then, and I want to thank you all for joining us this morning to review again one of the more core aspects of the Keystroke software. In a way, everything comes down to your inventory in Keystroke. It is your it is in a way the backbone of the software. It's all of your items. It manages all the details for everything that you purchase and everything that you sell. So again, thanks for attending. Keystroke Live is now held every Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. And again, you can continue to use the same login information through GoToMeeting. Next week, Keystroke Live will be hosted by Mike Tabor, and he'll be discussing customer and contact databases. And thank you all for attending, and have a nice day.
Jay?
Yes?
Hello?
I'm here.
This is Alan and Mickey from A&B Electronics.
Oh, hello, Alan. What can I do for you?
We've got a question on your matrix.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that use the same barcode then, or?
That's a good question. Now, you can use the barcode that is assigned on the primary inventory record, on the inventory screen. You can use a barcode that is generated or based upon a field on the inventory record. And when that barcode is scanned, Keystroke will prompt with the matrix, and it's going to require that the clerk actually select which variety they are selling or purchasing. However, we can print matrix labels that include that variation detail in it. So instead of having a barcode that's based on shirt polo style, in this example, we can have a barcode printed that says, or that tells Keystroke to say yes, to instead, rather than just the shirt polo, that does specify, we can use a label that specifies medium denim or large green. So yes, we have the ability to use to generate unique labels.
Let us know how.
Or if the inventory item already has its own unique barcode on it, its own unique UPC code, we can specify that right on the variation itself. In this case, large green. I hit F3.
Yeah.
This pulls up the matrix record. This is the record specific to this large green, and we can put in a unique code, a unique barcode there, so that when that is scanned, it retrieves this actual record.
Let me make sure.
Were there any other questions?
What's it look like then from the sales screen if you do the matrix?
Very good. It looks just like any other inventory item. I'll go in. Now in this case, I'm going to enter this item on a transaction. I'm not using a barcode scanner right now. I'm just entering it as the main inventory item. So in this case, I actually have to select what variety I want. I'm going to take the extra large denim. So I pull that up on screen. Here in my detail box, in the in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, I can see the actual variety of the inventory item. Furthermore, I can hit F3 on there and pull up the line item detail. We see here's my shirt, polo style, in the description. And then in the extended description, I see that it is an extra large denim variety here. Additionally, the class, these identifiers, the X and the D, these are identifiers that are in the matrix itself for the item. So the class will also represent the matrix item as well as the extended description. Otherwise, we see it does just look like the main inventory item, but again, we see the details in the detail box, and we can also see those details on the line item detail screen by highlighting the item and pressing F3.
All right, I think Mickey had a question.
Now, can you keep inventory on each individual shirt then?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yes. As we see, here's the main inventory record. I select matrix. Here are all my quantities for the varieties of the shirt that I have. And again, if I highlight a variety and press F3, this is the unique record for that variety. We'll see that there is an on-hand quantity. In this case, we show two quantities here. We show a quantity of 4. That first column next to on-hand, that represents the quantity for this variety, whereas the next column represents the overall quantity for the shirt itself in all its varieties. So again, matrix, that's something that we will certainly be covering in future Keystroke Live sessions. And again, feel free to give us a call, and we can review matrix in much greater detail over the phone. Again, thank you all for coming, and please contact us with any questions.